everyone, it's Jessica, and today I'm bringing you a review and comparison and demo of a very expensive palette and a very, very cheap palette. And I swear they are virtually dupes for each other. Now, the expensive one is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. This palette retails for $36, so it is expensive. And it's got 9 different shades. It has 4 matte shades and 5 shimmery shades. And I have been using this like crazy. It's one of my all-time favorite palettes. Now, I recently went to Walmart and I had hauled, it was a huge drugstore haul. I can link it below if you want to watch it. But I hauled a bunch of hard candy products, and I found this hard candy Natural Eyes palette. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's just a really pretty palette. So I bought it. It was $8 at Walmart. I was like, duh. They never, I swear, drugstore palettes are so hard to find, and especially one with this many colors that are so pretty and for $8. So, and it came with a little primer and a liner as well, which I haven't even tried yet. But I just bought it because I liked the colors. And then, whoops, I quickly realized, wait a second, this, and I actually realized it in the video where I hauled these, that, oh my gosh, these are almost perfect dupes for each other. And when you look at them this way, you can see it. So I'm going to show you some up-close pictures of both of these palettes and a swatch of each. I'll tell you right away that while most of these shadows are dupes for each other, there are a couple that aren't. And that, I mean, they're both pretty in their own way, but they're not dupes for each other. But these are certainly, I mean, very comparable. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches, and then I'm going to show you, I actually have used both of these palettes. I used one on this side and one on the other. I'm not going to tell you yet which one is which. I had Tyler and my mom separately today guess which one they thought, and my mom guessed wrong. She thought the more inexpensive one was the expensive one and vice versa. And so it's just been really, really cool to try out. It's the first time I've ever done this. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches, and then we'll get into the demo of me applying them to my eyes so you can see how they work and how they compare. So this is the hard candy palette. This is the Too Faced one. We're just gonna go shadow by shadow and compare them. You can probably see right off the bat that these two are not quite dupes for each other. Those were the first ones that when I saw them, I'm like, not quite. But the rest of them are pretty close. So let's go ahead and go through. So here is the first swatch, which is of that top left cream shadow. The right one, of course, is the Too Faced, and the left will always be hard candy. Those are pretty close. They're both matte. I think the Too Faced one is a little bit more white, but they're so close. This one, which is the second one down on the left, these are pretty different. And these I'm using on my lid here in a second. This is the Too Faced one, and that is the hard candy. And the Too Faced one is a lot more pigmented and a lot more buttery. And this is actually 2 swatches of the hard candy one. They're both still pretty in their own way, but this one is a little bit lighter and a lot more pigmented. So here is the Too Faced one in Nudie. They're on the bottom left there, and this is the hard candy one. I actually think I like the hard candy one of this better, and you'll see in my demo here in a second that when I put these on in my crease, this one is a lot less red and this one is more orange, and I liked the hard candy one better, and that is honest. I think it even swatches better. So this one is Cashmere Bunny in the top middle there. Here's Too Faced and there's hard candy. The hard candy one is a little bit deeper and darker, and frankly more pigmented even. So this is the most impressive to me. This is the very middle color of both palettes. This is Push It by Too Faced, and this is the hard candy one. And the colors are virtually exactly the same, but the hard candy one is better. It is so absolutely stunning. So this is the bottom middle one. This is Honey Pot by Too Faced, and this is the other bottom middle one from Hard Candy. These are completely different. Now they're both shimmery pretty golds, but I do like the Too Faced one better. It's a more wearable gold to me. So this is the top right corner color. This is the Too Faced and this is the hard candy. The Too Faced is maybe a little deeper, but these are so similar both pigmentation and color wise. So this is the middle one on the right, which from Too Faced is called Erotica. I don't really like this shadow anyway. I use it from time to time, but you can see even the Too Faced one is kind of powdery. I think the hard candy one is not as powdery, and it's a little more cooler toned, which I think I would prefer, but I don't really use this color anyway. So they're not quite dupes for each other, but I think the hard candy one is better anyway. The last one is the bottom right, which is called Chocolate Martini from Too Faced, and this is the hard candy version. I think the Too Faced one and this one is just a little bit deeper, a little more rich color, but they both have a gold glitter in it. And so again, I don't use this all that often. This is probably my least used color in the palette, but I mean, they're pretty close, but they're not quite exactly the same. So what you're seeing here is a swatch of all of them together, and the bottom one here is the Too Faced, and the top one, of course, is the Hard Candy. And one thing that's obvious right off the bat is that the Too Faced ones, they are a little bit more shimmery. The ones that are shimmery just have a little bit more punch to them. But the matte ones, I think, are so comparable, and frankly, the overall look, which you'll see in a second, really is virtually the same. In the tutorial you're about to see, I used all three of these colors here, and then I also used the middle color in both, and then I used the top right dark brown color. So if you're interested to see those, stay tuned. Okay, so on this eye I'm gonna use the Too Faced palette, and on this eye I'm gonna use the Hard Candy palette. Now you've already seen the swatches, and you see how some colors aren't perfect dupes for each other, not at all. So I'm not gonna use those because obviously those would be different looks because 2 or 3 of these shadows just aren't dupes. But the rest of them, the ones that I think are the closest, are the ones that I'm going to use and show you. Now really, what I'm gonna show you is a look that I do all the time with my Too Faced palette. I'm just recreating it, my normal look on this eye and Hard Candy on this eye. I'm so excited to see if they end up looking the same. So I'm going to start with the shade Heaven from the Too Faced one, which is the same shade right over here in the Hard Candy. So I usually apply this with my fingers, so I'm gonna do the same. Now I'm not using a primer on my eyes because I just wanna see how these shadows do just straight up on their own. That way people that don't use primer or don't have primer, it wouldn't matter. So Too Faced one. Right off the bat, I almost feel as though the Hard Candy one was a more even application than the Too Faced one was, so that's kind of interesting. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take Silk Teddy, which is this color right here, and the same one over in the Hard Candy, and I'm just gonna use a fluffy brush to buff that all over my crease. What I'm noticing right away is that the Hard Candy one is not as orange, and I'm gonna be honest, I like that one more. So I'm gonna kind of, just to make sure that they kind of match, I kind of like the Hard Candy shade better. Now I'm gonna go through and use Push Up here. And again, the matching one is the one right in the center of the palette for the Hard Candy one as well. I'm gonna use Push Up and just kind of put it right in the crease. So just looking at it, it's still pretty much looking the same. Again, I feel like this eye is a little more like almost orange. So to deepen up this look just a little bit more, I'm gonna use the Sexpresso there. And again, it's the same matching one over here, and it's just a matte, deep, kind of chocolate brown, and I'm just using a smaller fluffy brush. This is actually an e.l.f. one, their e.l.f. crease brush. And, sorry, this is Too Faced. And again, work it just in the outer corner of my crease. And a little bit on the lid as well. So now what I typically do is, I typically will take a little bit more of the Silk Teddy, which is that one we started with, and I put a little bit more on the inner part of my lid just to kind of jazz that part up. So I'm going to do the same with the Hard Candy. And then I'm going to take a different fluffy brush, and with that matte crease shade, or the matte cream shade, I'm going to take just a little bit, tap some off, and I usually, this is for my brow bone, but I use whatever's left to kind of meld everything else together. The last thing I typically do before I do like my eyeliner and mascara and everything else, I don't even have blush on yet, is I'll take this, again, that deep brown chocolate color, and just with a small angled brush, I line my lower lash line with it. Just kind of on the outer portion. You can kind of smudge it, do whatever you want to do with it. Because I don't typically use like a, that's not true. I just don't always use a pencil liner. I like it a little bit softer. So I'm going to do the same thing with the hard candy one. So if you look at it, I know I'm not complete or done or anything, but it really does look the same. I mean, once it's all blended together, there's no way anyone could ever tell that these are two completely different brands. It's kind of amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish my makeup and then we'll talk some more. Now let's run down the pros and cons of both. Price-wise, the Too Faced one is $36. The hard candy one is $8. And the hard candy one has bonuses of the primer and the liner. Now they also have sassy eyes and they also have a smoky eyes palette. So if you know that browns and neutrals aren't for you and you like smoky colors, go for that. Playful ones, so you go for the sassy one. So they do have other options if you like that. Now packaging wise, these are both that kind of tin. This one is smaller because it just has the shadows, but they both have a mirror. They both are magnetically closed. So I think packaging wise, they're definitely similar. The texture of both of these shadows are, I would say they're so close. I think that some of the hard candy ones are a little more powdery while the Too Faced ones aren't. But then I think some of the Too Faced ones are almost too shimmery while the hard candy ones aren't. So there's kind of, it just depends shadow by shadow. And when you look through the swatches, you could see, you know, the differences between some of them. But they're both, all 9 shadows of both are really, really nice. I think these both apply beautifully with both your fingers and a brush. I don't think it really matters. And you know, they're both just so nice. They're both so pigmented. And you saw when I applied these that they really do both blend really well together. I do think the Too Faced ones are a little shimmerier. So when you look at when this all blended together, that shimmer spread throughout the look, whereas the shimmer didn't spread throughout this look, which I kind of like that better. I think, you know, I didn't use a primer for this look, you guys saw. I typically do use a primer. I'll use my Wet n Wild Fergie one that I love, or my Too Faced Shadow Insurance. They're both fantastic. And even without a primer, this has lasted for a very long time. Neither one of them has faded. They both look just the same. So I do feel like wear time on both are the same. They last just all day, even without a primer. I will say I felt that the hard candy ones almost applied more evenly than the Too Faced ones did. And that surprised me because I figured, oh, for sure the Too Faced one is gonna blend better and it's gonna go on smoother. But right off the bat, when I applied that lid shadow, I saw that the hard candy one was just smoother there. The hard candy palette is not available yet online, at least at the time that I'm filming this. When it is, I'll put the link up for it because hard candy is sold on Walmart's website, but not all of their new products are there yet. Too Faced, of course, I think I bought mine from Sephora. Overall, would I recommend this as a dupe for this? Absolutely. Obviously, like I'd mentioned a million times in this video, they're not exact dupes. They're just not. But they are so similar, and if you know that you've been eyeing this because you know these are all shadows you would use every day, I would say save the $28 and just get this one. You're getting virtually the same shades and they're all so wearable and they blend so nicely, and you get a bonus primer and liner and a mirror and little instructions on how to apply certain looks. I think it's an amazing product for $8. I can't believe this isn't all over YouTube yet. I hope this review was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you like these kind of comparison demo videos where I compare two different things that are supposedly dupes for each other. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you had fun watching it, and maybe it was informative in some way, and hopefully I will be saving you some money. If you're interested in more of my review and demo videos of drugstore products that I love, I'll put the playlist link below, and if you would, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.